My name is Evelyn Asiedu, and I am one of two new co-directors in the Office of Human Rights, Equity, and Inclusion. I am the Director of Program Delivery and Education. I'm actually from Ontario. My family lives in Brampton, so just outside of Toronto. And I did my undergrad in Ontario, did an undergrad in chemistry, and eventually figured that I needed to do more school. Like, I didn't want to just stop at an undergrad for whatever reason. And so I looked up a bunch of scientists, and someone who did the work I was interested in, oil sands toxicology, lived in Edmonton. So I came for a visit and it went really well. And then in 2013, I moved here to start my graduate studies in analytical environmental toxicology. It kind of feels like, to some degree, MacEwan also chose me, and so my path is a little bit different. As I mentioned, I came here to do graduate studies in science, but I've always done work related to community building, advocacy, equity and inclusion on the side. And so in the last few years, I've pivoted from a pure science background to an equity, diversity, inclusion background. And so in the last 6 months, really reflecting on what my personal values are, what makes me tick, what gives me passion, and where do I see myself living? Because I'm a millennial and obviously can't afford to live most places. MacEwan was a place that whenever I spoke to colleagues about it, they said, it's so nice there. People are so nice there. And so I applied, and one thing led to another, and now I'm here, and I'm really happy to be here. From 2021 to 2023, I was at Thompson Rivers University, which is a similar size university to MacEwan, but it's in Kamloops, BC, so that's the interior BC. And I was privileged enough to lead a research project which spoke to community members about their experiences of belonging. As the principal investigator, or as the PI, I worked with 3 students and sitting down with faculty members, staff members, students, and administrators to ask about their experiences of equity, diversity, inclusion, either positive or negative at the university. And the method that we used involved giving people pens or crayons and markers and pens and art supplies and snacks, always snacks, in a well-lit room, and just letting them express however made sense to them. And so from February of 2022 to August of 2022, we collected over 130 stories and images of what that looks like. And after a certain number, you really start to get a community perspective on what belonging is and what it isn't. And so at TRU, places typically where people felt positively were places like the library. What's interesting, more often than not, food brings people together, which I think we know, but in the actual images, that's something that I saw. And so I just thought that was an interesting story to share, because it talks to my research background, but also interesting ways in which people feel like they are brought together with respect to belonging, and more often than not, food has a lot to do with that. I have just started here, so I'm kind of still figuring out MacEwan, but I have been a part of, as a student and trainee, several post-secondaries, and have gone to different post-secondaries across the country over the years. And there's just something about MacEwan. And I just started again, but like in the last little while, it's just when I come to campus, there's just a sense of maybe acceptance. Like when I walk through the library and there's like a group of students speaking maybe Hindi, or there's students in a study room and there's a dog, or there's students of all different backgrounds right in the middle studying, or a girl on the side here taking a nap. Like, I just love that people, at least with students in that space, feel that they can be or do whatever they want. There's a lot of people of color here, and I love that. Personally, for me, in my post-secondary experience, that wasn't always the case. And so being at an institution where there is at least diversity visually, ethnically perhaps, that makes me feel safer and more welcome. So I enjoyed that aspect of MacEwan.